Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. So continuing with the discussion today on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, today we're starting the chapter 7, the activities of King Bharat. Text number 1. Shri Shukhuvacha Bharatastu Mahabhagavato Yada Bhagavatavat Nital Paripalanaya Sanchitan Tatast Danu Shasan Paraha Pancha Janim Vishwarup Duhitram Upayeme. Shukdev Goswami continued, speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. My dear king, Bharat Maharaj was a topmost devotee. Following the orders of his father, who had already decided to install him on the throne, he began to rule the earth accordingly. When Bharat Maharaj ruled the entire globe, he followed the orders of his father and married Panchjani, the daughter of Vishwarupa. So as we know now, just to go back, Brahmaji's son Swayambhuva Manu had two sons, Uttanpad and Priyavrat. So from Uttanpad we heard how Dhruv Maharaj and the rest of the people came. And from Priyavrat then came Agnidhra. Then came Maharaj Nabhi and Meru Devi, who performed austerities to have their son as Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Lord Rishabdev Maharaj appeared, and from Rishabdev came Bharat Maharaj. Nabhi and Meru Devi, and then Rishabdev, and then Bharat Maharaj. Text 2. Tasyahu hava atmajan karchane anurupnat manaha panchajanya mas bhuta direv bhuta sukshmani sumatim rashtra bhritam sudarshanam avaranam dhumraketumiti. Just as the false ego creates a subtle sense objects, Maharaj Bharat created 5 sons in the womb of Panchajani, his wife. These sons were named Sumati, Rashtrabhrit, Sudarshan, Avran, and Dhumraketu. Ajanabham namet dvarsham bharatam iti yat arabhya vyapyadishanti. Formerly this planet was known as Ajanabh Varsh, but since Maharaj Bharat reigned, it has become known as Bharat Varsh. This planet was formerly known as Ajanabh because of the reign of King Nabhi. After Maharaj Bharat ruled the planet, it became celebrated as Bharat Varsh. Sa bahuvin mahipati pitri pitama vahad uruvatsalyatayat sve sve karmani vartmana praja swadharmam anuvartamana pare palayat. Maharaj Bharat was very learned and experienced king on this earth. He perfectly ruled the citizens, being himself engaged in his own respective duties. Maharaj Bharat was as affectionate to the citizens as his father and grandfather had been. Keeping them engaged in their occupational duties, he ruled the earth. It is most important that the chief executive rule the citizens by keeping them fully engaged in their respective occupational duties. Some of the citizens were Brahmins, some were Kshatriyas, some were Vaishyas and Shudras. It is a duty of the government to see that the citizens act according to these material divisions for their spiritual advancement. So these material divisions are based actually for spiritual advancement. No one should remain unemployed or unoccupied in any way. One must work as a Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra on the material path and on the spiritual path. Everyone should act as a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, or sannyasi. Although formerly the government was a monarchy, all the kings were very affectionate towards the citizens, and they strictly kept them engaged in their respective duties. Therefore, the society was very smoothly conducted. Ije cha bhagvantam yajna kritu rupam kritu bhiruvacha shadhya hritagni Hotra darsha purnamasa chaturmasya pashu somanam prakriti vikriti abhe anusavanam chaturhotra trividana. With great faith, King Bharat performed various kinds of sacrifice. He performed the sacrifices known as Agnihotra, Darsha, Purnamas, Chaturmasya, Pashu Yagya, wherein a horse is sacrificed, and Soma Yagya, where a kind of beverage is offered. Sometimes these sacrifices were performed completely and sometimes partially. In any case, in all the sacrifices, the regulations of Chaturhotra were strictly followed. In this way, Bharat Maharaj worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Animals like hogs and cows were offered in sacrifice to test the proper execution of the sacrifice. I think it should be horse, not hogs. Hogs are not offered in the sacrifice. Otherwise, there was no purpose in killing the animal. Actually, the animal was observed in the sacrificial fire to get a rejuvenated life. Generally, an old animal was sacrificed in the fire. It would come out again in a youthful body. Some of the rituals, however, did not require animal sacrifice. In the present age, animal sacrifices are forbidden, as stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In this age of Kali, 5 acts are forbidden: the offering of a horse in sacrifice, the offering of a cow in sacrifice, the acceptance of the order of sannyas, the offering of oblations of flesh to the forefathers, and a man's begetting children in his brother's wife. So in previous ages, so this was going on, but Mahaprabhu said in Kali Yuga, all these things are forbidden. Because people, first of all, they were implementing it wrongly, and they are doing it for sense gratification. And sacrifice is never done for sense gratification. Such sacrifices are impossible in this age due to scarcity of expert Brahmins or Ritvija who are able to take the responsibility. In the absence of these, the Sankirtan Yajna is recommended. After all, sacrifices are executed to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such activities should be carried out for the Supreme Lord's pleasure. In this age of Kali, the Supreme Lord in his incarnation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should be worshipped and his associates by performance of Sankirtan Yajna, the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. This process is accepted by intelligent men. Yajna Sankirtan prayer. The word Sumedasa refers to intelligent men who possess very good brain substance. So this Yajna, Sankirtan Yajna, will be carried out by intelligent men. That's what the shloka says. Yajantihi Sumedasa. So not just anybody and everybody would be able to take up this process of Sankirtan Yajna. Text number 6, translation. After performing the preliminary various sacrifices, Maharaj Bharat offered the results in the name of religion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. In other words, he performed all the yajnas for the satisfaction of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna. Maharaj Bharat thought that since the demigods were different parts of Vasudeva's body, he controls those who are explained in the Vedic mantras. By thinking in this way, Maharaj Bharat was freed from all material contaminations, such as attachment, lust, and greed. When the priests were about to offer the sacrificial ingredients into the fire, Maharaj Bharat expertly understood how the offering made to different demigods was simply an offering to the different limbs of the Lord. For instance, Indra is the arm of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Surya, the sun, is his eye. Thus, Maharaj Bharat considered that the oblations offered to different demigods were actually offered into different limbs of Lord Vasudeva. And that's the right thinking, not just thinking that demigods are independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That would be called an atheist or Pashandi. The Supreme Personality of Godhead says that as long as one does not develop the pure devotion service of Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, one must carry out his prescribed duties. Since Bharat Maharaj was a great devotee, one may ask why he performed so many sacrifices that are actually meant for karmis. The fact is that he was simply following the orders of Vasudeva. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Pariteja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. Whatever we do, we should constantly remember Vasudeva. People are generally addicted to offering obeisances to various demigods. But Bharat Maharaj simply wanted to please Lord Vasudeva. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, a yajna may be carried out to satisfy a particular demigod. But when the yajna is offered to Yajna Purush, Narayana, the demigods are satisfied. The purpose of performing different yajnas is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. One may perform them in the name of different demigods or directly. If we directly offer oblations to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demigods are automatically satisfied. If we water the root of a tree, the branches, twigs, fruits, flowers are automatically satisfied. When one offers sacrifices to different demigods, one should remember that the demigods are simply parts of the body of the Supreme. If we worship the hand of a person, we intend to satisfy the person himself. If we massage a person's legs, we do not really serve the legs, but the person who possesses the legs. All the demigods are different parts of the Lord, and if we offer service to them, we actually serve the Lord himself. Demigod worship is mentioned in Brahma Samhita, but actually the shlokas advocate worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda. For instance, worship of Goddess Durga is mentioned here in Brahma Samhita. Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Eka Chaya Vyasya Bhuvanani Vibharti Durga Ichha Nurupam Api Yasya Chacheshtate Sa Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Following the orders of Shri Krishna, the goddess Durga creates, maintains, and annihilates. Shri Krishna also confirms this statement in Bhagavad Gita. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and non-moving beings. So all the demigods can be considered as different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord. And if we worship them with that understanding, then it is okay. We should worship the demigods in that spirit. Because the goddess Durga satisfies Krishna, we should offer respects to goddess Durga. Because Lord Shiva is nothing but Krishna's functional body, we should therefore offer respects to Lord Shiva. Similarly, we should offer respects to Brahma, Agni, and Surya. There are many offerings to different demigods. And one should always remember that these offerings are usually meant to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bharat Maharaj did not aspire to receive some benedictions from demigods. His aim was to please the Supreme Lord. In the Mahabharata, among the 1,000 names of Vishnu, it is said, Yagya Bhugya Yagya Krita Yagya. The enjoyer of Yagya, the performer of Yagya, and the Yagya itself are the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is a performer of everything. But out of ignorance, a living entity thinks that he is the actor. As long as we think we are the actors, we bring about karma bandha, a karma bandhan, bondage to activity. If we act for yajna for Krishna, there is no karma bandhan. So Bhagavad Gita says, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to this material world. So Prabhupada is again stressing that demigod worship one can do understanding that they all are parts of Krishna. And if we are satisfying Krishna, all the demigods are worshipped automatically. So what to speak of demigods? Here people are worshipping men, whether they're cricket stars or politicians or industrialists or any other famous person, movie star. They worship them. I mean, even demigods are parts of Krishna's body, and we are so negligible, we are so insignificant compared to demigods. So, what to speak of Krishna? Even ourselves, not even worshipping anybody else, even ourselves, we think we are so important, so important. The whole world revolves around me only. Actually, better than this mentality is actually demigod worship. At least we should understand there is some higher authority. We don't know exactly if they're God or not, the Supreme Bhagwan. So it's better than thinking that I am the best. At least in demigod worship, we understand, we feel, we go to the temple, we pray, we do some whatever, some puja, some yajna, some adhishtan, some anushthan, some tapa, some vrata, understanding there is somebody higher than me. Slowly, 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 we can come to the level of bhakti. We're understanding Krishna is the topmost. But here, only thing we think the highest is money. And when we have money or some higher position compared to others, we think everything depends upon me. We think even devotees, when they come asking me for money, then I am doing a great service to them by giving them some donation. And in return, when I go to the temple, I demand, not just expect, I demand good service to me because I have donated 1 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees or whatever in the world I have donated. This is what the ignorance is. Not understanding who the money actually belongs to, who the money actually comes from. Who gives us the intelligence to make that money? Who gives us the power even to move our hands, to move our tongue, to move our eyes? Who gives the power? But the knowledge is missing. And once one understands that knowledge, you understand everything belongs to Krishna. Actually, nothing belongs to me. And if I have some assets, some property, some opulence, which I can only have for whatever, 30, 40, 50 years, not more than that. After that, it will be taken away anyway. It's just Krishna has made me a caretaker of that property for a certain time. Understanding that I will use it in Krishna's sense. And if we don't, then obviously at the time of death, everything will be taken away. But what happens then? We get karma bandhan. Okay, you try to take over my property, Krishna says. You try to think you were the controller and proprietor of that property. Now you suffer. So that's what is going on, and people are suffering. People are thinking I'm the controller. I have so much of property. I have millions and millions of dollars in my bank account. My stock is increasing, and share prices are going up, and I'm the trillionaire, and this and that, and all of a sudden, poof, we're out. One little insignificant, invisible virus can just kill us, and that's it. So following the instructions of Bharat Maharaj, look at him. He was the emperor of the whole world. Not a fictional story, it's not a mythological statement, it's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Emperor of the whole world. Today, we don't have anybody as an emperor of the whole world. We can't even understand how opulent he must be. But what he was doing, he was performing sacrifices for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, understanding his position. Following the instructions of Bharat Maharaj, we should act not for our personal satisfaction, but for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated, sacrifices, austerities, and charities performed without faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead are non-permanent. Regardless of whatever rituals are performed, they are called asat, non-permanent. They are therefore useless both in this life and the next. So sacrifices, austerities, charities, yajna, dan, tapa has to be done for the pleasure of Krishna. Simple as that. Kings like Maharaj Amrish and many other Raja Rishis who were pure devotees of the Lord simply passed their time in the service of the Supreme Lord. When a pure devotee executes some service through the agency of another person, he should not be criticized, for his activities are meant for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. A devotee may have a priest perform some karma kanda, and the priest may not be a pure Vaishnava, but because a devotee wants to please the Supreme Lord, he should not be criticized. The word apurva is very significant. The resultant actions of karma are called apurva. When we act piously or impiously, immediate results do not ensue. We therefore wait for the results, which are called apurva. The results are manifest in the future. Even the smartas accept this apurva. Pure devotees simply act for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the results of their activities are spiritual or permanent. They are not like those of karmis, which are non-permanent. And this is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who's fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. A devotee is always free from material contamination. He is fully situated in knowledge, and therefore his sacrifices are intended for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is what Maharaj Bharat was performing. Text 7. In this way, being purified by ritualistic sacrifices, the heart of Maharaj Bharat was completely uncontaminated. His devotional service unto Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, increased day after day. Lord Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, is the original personality of Godhead, manifest as the Supersoul, Paramatma, as well as the impersonal Brahman. Yogis meditate upon the localized Paramatma situated in the heart. Jnanis worship the impersonal Brahman as the supreme absolute truth. And devotees worship Vasudeva, the supreme personality of Godhead, whose transcendental body is described in the Shastras. His body is decorated with the Srivatsa, the coastal jewel, and a flower garland. And his hands hold a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower. Devotees like Narad always think on him within their hearts. Lord Vasudeva Shri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is manifest within the hearts of yogis in his Paramatma feature, and he is worshipped as impersonal Brahman by Jnanis. The Paramatma feature is described in the Shastras as having 4 hands holding disc, conch shell, lotus flower, and club, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Paramatma is situated in the hearts of all living beings. He has 4 hands which hold 4 symbolic weapons. All devotees who think of the Paramatma within the heart worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a temple deity. They also understand the impersonal feature of the Lord and his bodily rays, the Brahman effulgence. But the devotees really worship who? Worship Krishna as a deity, the temple, as the Bhagwan. But they know Paramatma and the Brahmajyoti feature. Text 8. Destiny fixed the time for Maharaj Bharat's enjoyment of material opulence at 1,000 times 10,000 years. When that period was finished, he retired from family life and divided the wealth he had received from his forefathers among his sons. He left his paternal home, the reservoir of all opulence, and started for Pulahashram, which is situated in Haridwar. The Shaligram Shilas are obtained there. According to the law of Dayabhag, when one inherits an estate, he must hand it over to the next generation. Bharat Maharaj did this properly. First, he enjoyed his paternal property for 1,000 times 10,000 years. At the time of his retirement, he divided his property among his sons and left for Pula Ashram. So this is actually a very small chapter, not too many purports by Prabhupada. So I think Prabhupada wanted to get to the activities of Maharaj Bharat in the forest. So he didn't describe in too much detail. But anyway, we'll stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments. I wonder where is this Pula Ashram in Haridwar, where Bharat Maharaj did his tapasya.
Yes, Prabhuji, I also wanted to know this. I was
That
about
was
to
my
ask
question
you.
as well, Prabhuji.
So Ashok Prabhuji, if he is here, another trip.
I was about to ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I think we are
Krishna.
collecting the list of visits faster than we are actually going for the trip.
Yeah, we should all make notes of all these places, and then whenever we get a chance, we should go.
We have more trips than planning. Now we are planning so many things. Less trips.
Yeah, I guess now we have to buy our own bus and just go everywhere.
So you
Hari bol, Prabhuji.
we got that Benz, na? That Benz bus.
Yeah. Just like that in Jagannath Puri, when we went, we had that.
Oh, that is double decker.
Vinay Prabhu, not a good connection. Not a very good connection, Vinay Prabhu. I think you have to write it down. You are in Ayodhya, you're in the spiritual world, so you're not getting good material connections.
अच्छा, विनय प्रभुजी का गए था?
Yeah, since the beginning of lockdown, he went to Ayodhya.
अरे वाह.
He is from Ayodhya, so he just went home.
हाँ, तो मालूम है. अभी वो वहीं पे है, ये नहीं पता.
Yeah. Chalo, I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada.